This is Crystal with Whole New Perspective. Guys, I want to talk to you today about one of the areas, the 5 core areas of preparedness, and that's food security. You know, we have so much going on right now with inflation, shortages, and yes, war. But listen, now is not the time to panic. It's a time for calmness. And what I hope to do in this video is to help you remain calm as you prepare for more food security. But guys, I want to thank you for hitting the thumbs up. I want to thank you for subscribing to my channel. And if you haven't done so, please consider subscribing to my channel. One of the first things you need to do is to inventory your food supply. You need to know what you have. You need to know what's missing. And then you need to write down a plan. What do you need? You need to know how long your food supply will last. FEMA says have enough non-perishables for several days. Now, if you can start with 6 weeks, then move up to 12 weeks. I think the goal, if at all possible, is to have enough non-perishables for a year. At least that's my goal. And I don't have to run out in a panic buying situation. So let's talk about some things that can help you get there. One of the things that I have been focusing on this year is not wasting any food. Over the last year, I feel like I wasted a lot more food. And that's one of the things that I'm definitely focusing on. I want to eat what I'm cooking and not have to waste it. And one of the ways that I'm doing that is I'm cooking smaller portions and I'm eating smaller portions. That will help my food supply to last a lot longer. You need to have dry goods and non-perishables. That should be a focus. One of the things I did yesterday was to go into the store, buy some beans, rice, and a gallon of water. And I did that in 3 different stores because I wanted to see what I could get, how much it would cost to get those things. And so I'm gonna go ahead and drop that video now. And then after that, I'll come back and talk a little bit more about ways that we can have better food security. So I wanted to see what I could get at the stores that I went to today for $5. And I wanted to look at beans and rice. So this first, 1 pound of pinto beans, 2 pounds of rice, and a gallon of water. I got that from Dollar General. The total of that, the water was $1.15. The rice was $1.50. And the pinto beans were $1. With tax, I ended up paying $3.72. So I could have purchased something else. This is Aldi, and it's the smallest size rice that they had. 32 ounces of 2 pounds of beans. Those beans were $1.95. Then a 3-pound bag of rice. The rice was $1.89. And then the water was on sale for 50 cents. So the total here came to $4.43. Then I went into Food Lion. I got a pound of beans, and that pound of beans was $1.19. A pound of rice. The rice was 82 cents. And then the water was $2.89 a gallon of water. So the total there with tax came to $2.65. So I could have purchased more. So just wanted to show you, if you have $5, things that you can purchase for your long-term storage. So in that video, I just picked the smallest bag of beans and smallest bag of rice that each of the stores had. And as you can see, in several of the stores, I could have purchased a lot more things, or maybe not a lot more things, but I could have purchased more, or I could have purchased a larger bag of beans and a larger bag of rice. And so you can see with $5 what you can do if you have $5, and that would be the goal. Just try to have at least $5 extra each time you go to the grocery store and purchase those types of non-perishables and dry goods. Now, if you have a lot more, of course you should get what your budget will allow. And that's the thing, we want to make sure we're working within our budgets to get these things. For me, the bulk of my food is going to come from purchasing it in the stores. And that's what I've done over the last years, many years, to ensure that we are secure should this type of situation occur. You all remember what happened again in early 2020. Everything disappeared from the shelves. It was panic buying, and I'll never forget, I went into the store at that time and I just watched and observed the look on people's faces. You know, it was like despair. And I didn't have to be concerned because I did have food at home. And so that is the main way that I have managed to have security for my family, but it's not self-sustaining. So that's one of the things that I want to talk about. Grow your own food. Grow a garden. Now listen, I'm not saying that you have to have this huge garden. I don't. I mainly grow in pots. And no, it is not going to sustain my family. But what it does do is help me to fill in some of the gaps. And you don't have to spend a lot of money on product to grow. You do need some seeds, and sometimes you can regrow what you purchase in the store. There's so many things that you can regrow. You know, onions, celery, ginger. I have some ginger growing back here, garlic. There are just so many different things that you can regrow. Lettuce. And so look at doing that. And then you don't have to go out and purchase these big fancy pots. Reuse what you have. If you have jugs, milk jugs, water jugs, even soda jugs or soda containers, you can use those as well. Use what you have right now. It's a time to do that and not to feel like you have to go out and have all this fancy things, but you do need to go ahead and get your tools, get you some seeds, and start growing something. Now I'll tell you, one of the things that I started in December was with a sweet potato, and I'm growing sweet potato slips. And I'm not growing them to grow the sweet potatoes. I have a sweet potato source, and so that's not why I'm growing them. I'm growing them for the leaves. So I'm going to plant some indoors, and those leaves have a lot of vitamins, and they grow everywhere. They just vine everywhere. And I eat them like I would spinach. And so that's gonna be a very good source for me. So you can think about doing something as simple as that. But again, get you some seeds. If you have the funds and you want to do more, do it. Just do whatever your funds allow. That's really what we want to do and we want to focus on. But go ahead and drop some seeds so that you can have something to kind of supplement what you get from the grocery store. One of the other things that I have been doing is preserving. I have been doing quite a bit of preserving. I preserved quite a bit of meat recently. I preserved back here, this is watermelon lemonade. I preserved that. because my watermelon was too ripe and I just couldn't get rid of it. And normally I probably would have made some watermelon rind pickles, but I will make some more of those this year. I hope to be able to grow some, and I will use all of the watermelon. One of the other things that I will do, even with the sweet potato leaves, I can dehydrate those. I dehydrated them with a lot of other of my greens a couple years ago, and I have a big jar of green powder, and it's very nutritious green powder, and I know what it is because I grew it here. So that's another way that I'm planning on making sure that we have what we need. And I'm growing some of those sweet potatoes indoors as an indoor house plant. So even if you don't have the space outdoors, think about growing something like that indoors. Now, if you plan on canning, whether it's water bath canning or pressure canning, there are some supplies that you need. So go ahead and get those supplies. Get your jars, get your lids, get your canners, and be prepared to preserve when the time comes. Because when it's preserving time, when the season is here, it's game on. You can't wait. You want your food to be at its freshest when you're canning. But then, of course, you can always freeze your food. Just be mindful that if there's a power outage, you may lose some of that food. So just do your best to preserve what you have. Again, I'm not letting anything go to waste. And so I'm either gonna freeze it, I'm gonna dehydrate it, but it's not going in the trash. And I don't mean that I'm going to compost it. I will as a last resort, but any food that I have, I do not want to compost. I wanna make sure that we're eating it. Let's talk about free. And the free way is foraging. Now we're coming up on spring, and it is time for the wild edibles, a lot of things, to start blooming. I would ask that you start to do some research, go online, Google what wild edibles are in your area and what they look like, and start getting outside and finding those things. Last year, I decided to be on the lookout for elderberries. And I was surprised to find wild elderberries all around my development at the very front, and even where I work at my job. It backs up to a lot of woods, and a lot of deer, things like that are in those woods. And so there are a lot of elderberries. I was able to harvest elderberries from a wild source. I do have quite a bit of video. I put the elderberries in my freezer and they're still there. And so that's why I didn't show that, but I may put that video out at some time. Make sure if you are going to harvest your wild edibles, make sure that it's not poisonous, that there are no poisonous lookalikes. Chickweed is in abundance right now, and you can eat chickweed. You can eat it just like you would lettuce. I think I put out a video last year that showed the benefits of chickweed. There's wild onions, wild garlic, dandelions. They are everywhere right now. So you can eat all of the dandelion. You can have the root, the flower, and you can also have the leaves. And then there's clover everywhere. There are so many wild edibles. So now is the time to do some research on those things. It's free. You just get outdoors and get that. I am going to harvest a lot more chickweed this year. And I'm just gonna go ahead and dehydrate it. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna harvest a lot more chickweed, and I'm gonna dehydrate it, and I'm gonna just powder it. And that way I'll have another source that's high in different types of vitamins should I need it. There's an app out, it's Picture This, and it is free. And so you can look at that. Do not purchase it unless you want to purchase it. That's an upgrade, but they do have a free version as well. And I use that a lot when I'm out. I just take my phone and take a picture and it'll tell you what it is. And then I'll do it several different times. And then I still research it when I come back to make sure that it is what I think it is and that it doesn't have any poisonous lookalikes. So just think about that. Again, it's free. And so it's a great way for us to continue to source different types of edibles. Last but certainly not least, don't forget about your pets and providing and storing food for them. If you can preserve foods for your pets. Just don't forget about them during this time as well. So listen, don't be fearful right now. Get yourself a list together, get a plan, and start working that plan now. You do not want to be out in the store in a panicked situation. So go ahead and get your food. Get it now. Listen, thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you stayed to the end. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. Thank you for giving my video the thumbs up. And if you have anything you'd like to add, I ask that you add it so that we can help each other remain calm while we're securing all the food that we need.